I think in the business community, definitely, and I also observe that in politics. Indeed, there's a massive task now, which the German government is facing. It's been a bit of a bumpy start, but now if we look ahead, and if they do the right thing, I'm optimistic. So the right thing, what does that mean? I mean, less bureaucracy, less anti-growth regulation, more innovation, and particularly strengthening investment and the capital market. And you'll not be surprised to hear that from me, but the capital market will play or needs to play a key role, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the financing need is enormous. We can't just shoulder that through banks, but the capital market, we talk about the capital market integration for, I think, 20 years, nothing happens or not a lot happens. So are there role models outside Germany where we would say this is where we should look at?
Yeah, indeed, there are. And Sweden is one example. We also operate an exchange in Sweden, an exchange focusing on growth companies. And if you compare the Swedish market, the Swedish capital market, little Sweden, with the German capital market, the Swedish capital market is by far more superior. There are 7 times more IPOs in Sweden than there are in Germany. Swedish people, private retail investors, invest into the capital market, whereas German private investors sit on the fences. And of course, if you have a strong capital market, as Sweden has, right, that has very positive effects when it comes to fostering growth, financing innovation, right, and on the other hand, also contributing to welfare and wealth creation for the broader public.
When it comes to like concrete policy measures, what do you want to see that things actually get more positive?
In Germany?
Yes.
Totally. So lower taxes, less bureaucracy, definitely less bureaucracy. We also need to go through all this regulation and basically trim it down. That is very important. And of course, on the other hand, embracing the capital market. Embracing the capital market. We will not finance the transformation, and we're talking about trillions of euros. Germany and Europe need to finance digitization, defense, infrastructure, all of these things.
Yeah, there has been muted interest from investors outside Europe or outside Germany. Do you think that will change now also with the new government, that money is actually flowing back into the country?
I hope so, and I think so, if the government does the right thing. I mean, we have it in our own hands. As I said, some of the factors are external. I think we've dealt with that, and now we need to fix our internal problems. Yes.
Next to this macro picture, you at the Stuttgart Boerse are also operating the biggest marketplace for crypto in Europe, which is astonishing. So what are the latest trends here, and are we actually falling back against the US, which has a so friendly crypto regulation?
It's a great question. It's a great question. Indeed, and Boerse Stuttgart Group, among the traditional European exchange groups, we have the largest crypto business and digital assets business. So what's happening in crypto? Crypto is going mainstream, right? More and more people have digital assets, have cryptocurrencies, right? That's a secular trend. Also, more and more traditional institutional investors embrace crypto. More and more traditional financial institutions, also across Europe, and we are their infrastructure partner. So is the US ahead in terms of regulation when it comes to compared to Europe? I wouldn't say so. And it's interesting. It's a great question, and it's interesting you're asking this question. In fact, Europe is ahead. We have a regulation. It's called MiCAR, right? It is now in effect, and it's not a bad regulation. And if you compare that with the regulatory fragmentation in the US, Europe even has a head start. Of course, now we need to make sure, with all this dynamic and political support in the US, that we do not fall behind again.